Remember when heavy metal ruled our lives? When great albums and great concerts came out every month?
Yeah, the 80s.
Well, it's time to look back at those days, so take out your old vinyl
And cassettes.
put on your denim jacket.
And raise your fist in the air.
It's time for the 80s Metal Hang, a classic heavy metal podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Join us as we go back to May 29th, 1983 and discuss the US Festival's Heavy Metal Day 2 on this week's episode of the 80s Metal Hang, a heavy metal history podcast.
Yeah. Can you even imagine being at this show back then? I mean,
No,
it was Van Halen, Quiet Riot, Motley Crue, Ozzy, Judas Priest, Triumph, Scorpions, Van Halen, all day. Oh, man.
We feel like people our age who are into this genre of music know exactly what we mean when we say US Festival. It was a festival with all the bands Craig just mentioned that we still talk about today. We still look up on YouTube till to this day. But you said, one band you said, see, I see a poster that says Van Halen, Scorpions, Triumph, Priest, Ozzy, Motley Crue, and Joe Walsh.
Yeah, that's how it was originally billed, and I think Joe Walsh was like, "What are you doing?" Like, really? And they kind of switched it around, and they replaced him with Quiet Riot, which was definitely a good move.
As the story goes, when you say US Festival to people like us, I don't even know how many of us realize it was 3 days. That US Festival to us is just this heavy metal day, but it was actually a 4-day festival, 3 on Memorial Day weekend, and then a 4th day, I think it was a week later, with country music. But when you look at the 3 days, they had, like, I think the first was like modern new wave, and they had Men at Work and the Vinyls.
Yeah,
and
Flock of Seagulls, In Excess, Stray Cats, The Clash.
And then the second day, they had...
what you call rock and
yeah,
roll?
I guess rock. Tom Petty, right? Pat Benatar.
Yeah, it was like Stevie Nicks, Pretenders, Los Lobos, Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh.
Bowie.
Yeah, Joe Walsh supposedly replaced John Cougar, who was going through something. He wanted to be John Mellencamp. They wouldn't let him. The poster said John Cougar. Again, depends on who you believe, but he dropped out. Like Craig said, they moved Joe Walsh over to Sunday, I guess. Is this, I don't know, was it Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I think Monday was when Joe Walsh was.
Oh, okay. So the order of the day, full disclosure, Craig and I have on the TV right now, we're watching a home video that came out, and it was also, I think, appeared on Showtime, because I remember you recorded it.
Yeah, I loved that. Oh my God. I recorded it. It's professionally shot. But it shows like a snippet, like a few songs of each band, and I had recorded it, and I don't know how I didn't wear that tape out, and Rob even borrowed it from me.
I used to borrow it from you all the time. Can I borrow the US Festival tape? It's a condensed version. It's like 3 or 4 songs for each band. So up on the screen right now, we have the day's first band, Quiet Riot. There's your Rudy Sarzo, swinging his head around, banging his head, you might say. And it's hundreds of thousands of people. This concert was formed or initiated by Steve Wozniak, who was Apple fame with Steve Jobs, the two Steves behind Apple Computers. So he had made his first tens of millions of dollars, and Labor Day of 82 had the first US Festival. This is Memorial Day of 83 for the second US Festival.
And speaking of how many people, I think when they added up the total ticket sales of all days, it was about 670,000 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch this video, which we'll put in the notes and on our Instagram, a link to this, the crowd is huge. It's like in the middle of the desert, middle of nowhere, and these kids are all running around in the heat, and it's just a massive crowd.
Yeah, California desert, San Bernardino County. It was in Glen Helen Regional Park, which is still there to this day. It actually was made into an amphitheater after this for concerts for the future. They don't regularly let hundreds of thousands of people in there, but it became like an outdoor amphitheater. It's called the Blockbuster Amphitheater for a while. But so the people in the area obviously know it better than Craig and I do. But just watching it, we were just so impressed with these people all just in this heat watching, and and look right there. Like, I know I'm referring to a TV that none of you could see, but they have a little screen at the top of the stage, which is so
before its time.
Yeah, before its time, but also compared to today, you go to a concert in an arena or even a small theater now, and they have high def screens that sometimes you fall into the trap of looking at the screen more than looking at the band. But in the daytime during Quiet Riot's set, you could barely see the band on the screen. What kind of, again, I don't care if we refer to the TV screen that we're watching, but they're up there right now playing, I think, Let's Go Crazy, and Carlos Cavazo, what kind of guitar is that?
It's a Telecaster.
But isn't that the guitar? It looks like he's playing a guitar the same one the Who played in like the Eminence Front video.
Yeah, I don't know
Is that a Schecter?
what brand it is. It could be.
It's Telecaster shape, yeah. Oh no, this is Metal Health that they're playing. We have the sound off on this.
Because we'll get.
But Rudy Sarzo, it's all the cameras on Rudy Sarzo right now, and he's playing the bass with his hands underneath the body and the neck. So that's got to be the middle of Metal Health.
And he, he did a weird thing where he always licked his fingers and then played.
I guess they hydrated.
It must have tasted awful. Anyone out there who plays a stringed instrument, bass or guitar, after playing for a while what your fingers smell like with the sweat and the rust. And it's not good.
Either Rudy did it just for it looked cool, or his fingers were killing him and he needed to moisten them.
Well, maybe he liked the taste. I'm not judging.
Taste. So Quiet Riot is we've talked about them on a past episode. They're, as far as major label in America, they're a new band. The kids in California may have known them better because of playing the LA bar circuit for so long. But Metal Health, the album, had just come out 2 months prior. They actually did some concerts leading up to this. They actually were on tour with the Scorpions. They did like 7 or 8 shows with the Scorpions in the weeks leading up to this. So Quiet Riot starts the day off playing the best of the Metal Health album.
I loved listening to this. Like Carlos Cavazo, I thought his tone was just so cool. Like when they play Come On Feel the Noise in the beginning, he does his slide on the E string. Everyone does it. But for some reason, it just sounded so metal. It was so distorted and badass.
Crowd seems into it. I mean, it's earlier in the day. They're excited to be there. Kevin Dubrow is now smashing his black and white taped microphone stand on the stage. The set is ending with Metal Health. And he's excited enough to destroy his mic stand.
That's pretty exciting. What else was exciting? They just showed a girl in the crowd sitting on someone's shoulders, and her bikini top was actually 2 big seashells.
Yes. I always said you could judge a band that's on the way up. You could judge that they're going to be big based on the amount of girls on guys' shoulders. If you have girls that excited to ask guys to put them on their shoulders, your band is going in the right direction. Like if I was an A&R guy and I went to see a band and I saw like 12 girls on top of guys' shoulders, I would say sign this band. And there's definitely girls on guys' shoulders for the next band that's coming up on our TV screen right now,
which is Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. Look at those outfits.
Backtrack to Quiet Riot. Speaking of on shoulders, I just want to mention that Kevin Dubrow had Carlos Cavazo on his shoulders running around.
He did sort of like the AC/DC Angus on Bon Scott or Brian Johnson's shoulders.
But now back to Crue and get a piece of their action.
Shout at the Devil's not out yet when Motley Crue plays at the US Festival, but they are clearly in their Shout at the Devil costumes.
Yeah, it doesn't come out for 4 months, I believe.
Wow.
But they play songs from it. You even hear Vince Neil say something like, we have an album coming out, or here are some songs from our new album. I forget what he says, but they're definitely wearing the costumes from that.
Yeah, they play Looks to Kill in this set. They play Shout at the Devil. They play maybe Bastard. I'm not sure. Knock 'em Dead Kid. We don't have the sound up for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
but
we'll get in trouble.
I'll get in trouble. But yeah, some of those Shout at the Devil songs, I was looking at set lists of Motley Crue going back into 82. And as far back as 82, 6-7 months prior to the US Festival, they're playing songs that will eventually appear on Shout at the Devil. I got to say, I don't know how well heavy metal works during the day, but some of the outfits, like Quiet Riot, was just kind of in spandex and T-shirts. Some outfits are not daytime outfits, and these Motley Crue outfits are not daytime outfits.
Can you imagine what they must have smelled like?
Look at just the leather. I mean, look at the high heels.
And I don't think they were very hygienic. I mean, they just probably took the clothes off and put them in a bag.
How do you? Yeah, exactly.
Leather and hot.
Do you dry clean leather pants? I don't even know. Do you spray them with Windex? You can't put them in
I don't know.
a regular washer and dryer.
But having said that, I do think this was their coolest look, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it was like post-apocalyptic or something, and spikes and leather and
we're assuming our audience knows what we're talking about, but Motley Crue is in the same outfits that you see in the Looks to Kill and Too Young to Fall in Love video and on the inside cover of the Shout at the Devil album. But, Nikki Sixx is kind of a tall guy, but he's got heels just as big as Mick Mars, and Mick Mars was not as tall, but, I mean, playing the bass and walking around with those high heels, I mean, then again, right now he's just riding the A.
Yes.
This is probably Looks to Kill, right?
It could be any song.
He doesn't even have his hand on the neck.
Now he's banging the
Now he's
bass.
banging the body. He's not doing anything right now. But look, he had to look down. You see that? Mm-hmm. He went to put his hand back in the neck, and Nikki Sixx just glanced down to find his fingers. So Motley Crue, I mean, looking back now, I don't know what you might think of this era. Craig loves the costumes, but they sound a little empty on this day, but the crowd loves them. They're obviously, like Quiet Riot, very well known to the crowd. And not for anything, for some of the crowd that maybe lived far away from LA or wasn't drinking age, they maybe haven't been able to see them. Maybe they've been hearing about them. Like we said about Twisted Sister and Zebra in previous episodes. A lot of young kids there, still in high school. This might be their first opportunity to see Quiet Riot and Motley Crue.
Well, since they didn't have a national album, just Too Fast for Love.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say they were relatively unknown, but they kind of were. If you weren't, you could read about them in the magazines going around or word of mouth. So they
somehow scored some opening dates with Kiss. They actually did some dates a few months before this. They did some dates with Kiss in April, opening up for them like in Nevada and Arizona. That was Kiss on the Creatures of the Night tour.
So this is quite a step to go. I mean, they just book you for this thing.
Well, yeah. How cool it is to play the bars and pack them in a Sunset Strip. This is another level. This is like hundreds of thousands of people. But I mean, them getting a good response here was obviously a sign of things to come, because we know how well Shout at the Devil is going to do.
Yeah, how well they're going to do too. They're not going to stop.
And there's all kinds of stories about, their behavior everywhere they went. And there's even some stories about their behavior backstage at this show. But you can go read their book called The Dirt for that information. You're not going to get it from me.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's R-rated.
Very much so.
So don't let your kids read it.
It might be NC-17.
Maybe. Some parts were close to X.
So Motley Crue.
We're skimming through it right now.
They play Take Me to the Top. Yeah. And then it's so funny when you think about in the history of things who ended up being the biggest, most successful and legendary. You might argue that from that day it would be Ozzy Osbourne, but yet he is third on the bill. And he comes out after Crue. And what is he wearing when he comes out?
It's this big feather mask. I don't even want to say it's American Indian, because it's just a really crazy mask full of feathers, and he just puts it on for like 3 seconds and rips it off.
Yeah, Ozzy just comes running out to his it's like almost like the Diary of a Madman background operatic track he comes out to as his intro, comes running out, and he rips off all these feathers, and they go into Over the Mountain to open the set. Right now, in this condensed Showtime version that we're watching. By the way, do you think people are going, what's Showtime? I mean, it's weird to think with all the streaming services that maybe people might not know what Showtime is anymore, but
it used to be a channel you had to pay for to get premium
it's like HBO.
content.
It's a lesser HBO.
On your television.
So this is Showtime produced, but Ozzy's out there and he's doing Over the Mountain. He does Crazy Train. He does I Don't Know. He does Iron Man and Paranoid.
It's his short hair Ozzy also.
Yeah, and for years I thought this was Jake's first show, but as we talked on a previous episode, Jake had done some shows in January, February, and March at the end of the so-called Speak of the Devil tour, but this is actually the first show the bass player's back.
Oh, Bob Daisley.
Yes.
He is definitely my favorite Ozzy bass player, and maybe one of my most favorite bass players of all time. I love his melodies. I love the way he plays. His songwriting is great. He writes great lyrics. He's underrated. not underrated to people who know, but when you think of bass players, you think Steve Harris, Geddy Lee. But Daisley is solid, and I love his bass lines.
I didn't know how much love there was for Bob Daisley. You know, this podcast we've mentioned prior is born out of Craig and I every few months get together with like a dozen of our musician friends, and we basically have a metal hang where we talk about all this stuff that inspired Craig and I to do this. But I was surprised that the 3 or 4 bass player friends that we had there all expressed their love for Bob Daisley. His type of playing and his songwriting. I mean, he's the unsung hero of Ozzy's career. Not only was he on the first 2 albums, co-wrote the songs, but he also comes back, performs and writes the lyrics for Bark at the Moon. He does writing on No Rest for the Wicked. He plays the bass on No More Tears album. So it's just weird. It's weird to me that he would come back. I mean, this is him playing back with Ozzy after Ozzy ditched him and Lee Kerslake.
And they didn't even put him on the picture for the album.
He even took Bob Daisley's picture off the Diary of a Madman album and put Rudy Sarzo's picture on there. And Rudy Sarzo just played 2 bands prior. There's a story that Ozzy punched Rudy Sarzo at the US Festival backstage, but I don't know. I think Rudy says it's true, but he kind of forgives him, I guess. I don't know.
Jolly good show.
Maybe guys punched each other a lot back then when they were under the influence and rocking out. Hey, look, there's Don Airey on keyboards. Don Airey is another unsung hero. He was with Ozzy's touring band. He played with Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. He played with... Did he play with Whitesnake back then after John Lord? I think he did. And now he's actually in Deep Purple after John Lord passed away.
And of course, I mean, there's Jakey Lee. He is the greatest addition to Ozzy's band since Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, they just showed Jakey Lee with his white... Is that a Charvel too?
Yeah, it's his signature Strat, Charvel Strat. And at the time, everyone had the Strats with no pick guards. His does. He's got the white with the black pickguard, which kind of set him apart from the others. But he had such a cool style. He had a cool look. His stage presence was amazing. And
he's got a fingerless glove on his left hand.
Which is a good addition to any metal player.
I'd be more impressed if it wasn't a fingerless glove, if he had a glove with fingers on his neck hand. There's Tommy Aldridge on drums.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy Aldridge. He kind of... Please, Tommy, if you're out there listening, and why would you be? But don't take offense to this. But Tommy Aldridge looked old when he was young.
Yeah, he was always kind of craggy.
He's a great drummer.
Like Kramer's face after he smoked too much and like an old catcher's mitt.
But your teeth are all brown.
Look away. I'm hitting.
Don't look at me, Jerry. Don't look at me, Jerry. Tommy Aldridge, I mean, just a drummer from Black Oak, Arkansas, and Pat Travers, and now Ozzy, later on Whitesnake. But this must be Mr. Crowley. They're showing a lot of Don Airey footage right now, and everybody loves Don Airey footage, let's be honest, but it's got to be Mr. Crowley. And look at his fingers. Can you tell if that's the Mr. Crowley solo with the sound off?
Not at the moment. They're showing Ozzy now.
I'm going to guess Ozzy's yelling, "Come on," right now.
Probably. Or "We love you all."
We love you all.
Is everyone high?
Is everybody high?
Who remembers the Fillmore East, man? His lines in the beginning of in between the songs of "Speak of the Devil" are some of my favorite lines.
Some of them are so awkward.
Who remembers the Fillmore East, man? He paces a lot. With the sound off, you can really see how he paces. He just put the microphone back on the mic stand and just walked away, and now he grabbed the microphone. Now he's walking. This is Ozzy and his short hair. Remember he shaved his head?
Didn't he disappear and he came back with a bald head or something? Head.
This is him just growing it out. I think it's only a couple of months after he'd shaved his head. I remember I had a Hit Parader rock magazine.
Where's Ozzy or something
like
that?
Yeah, they had him like peeking out behind like a palm tree or bush or something with his bald head.
But he really did disappear.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first or last time.
It was odd.
This is kind of off topic, but Ozzy disappeared once when Black Sabbath was on tour, and I read this in a book recently. Maybe it was Tony Iommi's book. Maybe it's the Noel Monk book that we were talking about with Van Halen, because Van Halen was opening for Ozzy. Anyway, Ozzy in Nashville once got really drunk and he couldn't find his hotel room. So he couldn't remember the hotel. So anyway, Ozzy goes missing. The day of the show, they still can't find him. They have to cancel the show that night in Nashville. The story goes that Ozzy was basically so drunk he couldn't remember what hotel he was in. He walked into the wrong hotel, went to what he thought was his floor, and I guess a maid was just finishing up a room, and he just walked into the room, and the maid thought that was his room, and he just passed out on a random bed in a random hotel room at the wrong hotel in Nashville.
That sounds
and they had
right.
to cancel the show that night.
Yeah, Ozzy has a lot of stories. We don't want to talk about snorting ants, but if you've read any of the books, you'll know what that means.
Yeah, he's going to go on tour. This is Ozzy. Ozzy's basically doing a one-off show here. Some of these bands were on tour. Some of them were not. Ozzy ended his Speak of the Devil tour back in April in Glen Falls, New York, at the Glen Falls Civic Center. And he wouldn't play again until like November when Bark at the Moon comes out, and he starts the Bark at the Moon tour. So this is like a one-off show for Ozzy. He's not really on a tour, but he will go on tour in America with Motley Crue, another Us Festival band, and that's when the snorting ants stories all start, when Motley Crue and Ozzy start hanging out.
And again, like Rob said, it's so weird to see that Ozzy is not headlining, or at least up there headlining with other later playing bands, because, I mean, now look at, he's like a legend. So it's weird how times change.
It is. Yeah, he would definitely, later in his career be headlining over, Triumph and probably even Judas Priest. But that's our next band, Judas Priest.
The Metal Gods.
The Metal Gods. They are also pretty much doing a one-off show. They're not on tour. If you look it up, they count this as a show on the Scream of a Vengeance tour. But they actually ended the Scream of a Vengeance tour in February of '83 in Hawaii, and they won't play another show after this until December in the UK when they start their Defenders of the Faith tour. But if you've ever seen the MTV concert of Judas Priest on the Scream of Vengeance tour, they have the same outfits, the same drum riser. They basically do the same set where they open up with Electric Eye, the Hellion Electric Eye.
And they're also wearing all leather outfits.
I have to say, the two bands that are not in their summer clothes are Judas Priest and Motley Crue.
Even more so with Priest, because they're wearing like zipped up vests. So there's no wind getting in that thing.
No. And it's so funny. They're showing Rob Halford, as Craig and I look at the TV screen, they're showing Rob Halford. He just walked down the side of the stage and seeing that crowd, how far it goes back to the mountains. Someday I want to talk to someone who was at this show. I want to hear their concert stories. There's got to be, if there's 300,000 people there's got to be 300,000 stories of how they got there, where they slept, whose car they jammed 10 people into. And like, look at that guy right now. Security is pulling some guy up on the lower level of the stage. Is he in trouble? Is he passing out?
And look at how much security there is.
Yeah. And
all you see is like a wall of yellow shirts.
And the old man, dad in me now. Oh, a guy just went up on stage. He's hugging Rob Halford. Two roadies are trying to tackle him away. Wow. Security is on the stage. Halford's cracking up.
That was you're like a sportscaster.
Play. It's the bottom of the third. Judas Priest 3. Fan, nothing. But they're talking to people occasionally. They cut away to edits of people that are just sitting on blankets in the California desert.
A lot of mustaches back then. And
I started to say that the old man dad in me, it's a little dangerous. We know there have been concert tragedies. Thankfully there weren't any this day that I know of. They had a police commissioner earlier in this special say their main goal was to prevent a riot. But, there's not a lot of spacing in between all the crowd, and you wonder how much everyone could even see. But as long as you were there, it was great.
Well, when I saw Motley Crue with Whitesnake on the Girls tour, I was able to sneak way up in the standing area. I was like 4 rows back, and I remember it sucked. I mean, I was crushed.
Yeah.
You had to pick, do I want my arms over my head or down, because you couldn't move them.
Right.
And I actually said, I'm going back to the 100 section. So I can't imagine being trapped like that here.
In '88, I was on the floor for the Monsters of Rock with Metallica, Scorpions, and Van Halen, and that was very similar. But I was like 3 people from the barricade for Metallica in '88 at Giant Stadium. That was a great memory. But looking back, and thinking now, if that was like one of my kids, I'd be, petrified that something would happen. But
yeah, I was all nervous.
Now the US Festival footage that we're watching, it was showing a sky view. There actually looked like there was a lake there. People were swimming.
I saw a guy in a clown costume for some reason.
Dressed as a clown. People are actually walking around with US Festival shirts. That's a pretty cool shirt to still have. was a 3/4 sleeve, black
if we can
sleeve,
find those.
white with Use Us Festival. What?
I'd buy one
Yeah, what if it had all 3 days on the back? I would just want one from the heavy metal day, but
without stains on it.
exactly. And now coming out of the van, walking towards the stage, they've got the magic power in them. It's Triumph.
They're triumphantly making their way towards the stage. Now they're on the stage.
Now they're on the stage, and they are dressed. They're all in white. It looks like they're very
Smart.
Listen, you're going to be in heat. You want to wear white, you know.
Rick Emmett's got the trademark double neck guitar.
Plus, it's after Memorial Day, so it's proper to wear white jeans. As long as you don't wear them after Labor Day.
Again, another very underrated band as far as the broad spectrum goes, because people who know that they were great.
And Rick Emmett right now, showing his greatness, playing a double neck. Is that an Ibanez?
I think so.
He's playing a 12-string top neck of a double neck Ibanez, and they have Rick Emmett on guitar and vocals, Mike Levine on bass and keyboards, and then Gil Moore on drums and lead vocals. They had 2 lead vocalists. He's got a massive Tama drum set.
I was going to say, look at the size of that.
Yeah, concert toms, no bottom heads, which was something a lot of the bands had back then. Judas Priest drummer had it.
Now, why is that? Why do
just
drummers take
preference?
the
I mean, that was also a time when miking was kind of primitive. They didn't have internal microphones. Now you could have heads on the bottom and actually have a microphone just wired through the side.
Every tom was mic'd. I just saw.
Personal preference. I mean, Neil Peart used to have concert toms, like the first 4 toms wouldn't have any bottom heads, and then his other toms and floor toms would. So,
Okay.
you know, it just, I guess you don't want to deal with the tuning of the resident's head on the bottom. You just want to. The battering head, what am I talking about? I don't know what they're playing here. There's a big drum roll by Gil Moore, the drummer.
A lot of toms.
A lot of toms. They actually, I talked about the other bands were one-off shows. Triumph is actually on tour. They're on their Never Surrender tour, and they didn't have the weeks and months off that Ozzy and Priest had. They actually played the day before in Florida. So they flew from Florida to California for this show. They had played in Orlando, Florida, and it was called the Rock Super Bowl in Orlando, and it was ZZ Top, Triumph, Sammy Hagar, and Foghat.
I have to say, that's got to be exhausting.
Yeah.
People always say, I'd love to be on tour. Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but it's got to be so exhausting. I mean, anyone who's played a show knows it's tiring, and you do it every night.
Yeah, well,
and the rest, you don't get rest because now you have to drive to the next venue.
That might be us talking now, but I mean, I'm sure it was tiring back then, but they're also
maybe
43 years younger there.
Yeah, true.
So they're going over. I mean, Triumph was a big band back then, especially, not that California is the heartland or anything, but Triumph was kind of known for being like, big in Texas and the Midwest and all through like Michigan and Canada. And so they were an arena headliner there, and they're playing. Now that I found out that information, that they kind of traveled a long way, I wonder if they'll put later because, they thought they may not make it or to give them extra time. But they were big. I mean, they're not misplaced. It's weird that they're after Ozzy, but they're definitely bigger than Quiet Riot and Motley Crue at this time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, strangely, Triumph is actually, we don't really want to give too many updates on these bands, but they're actually in some form of a weird reunion right now with some other traveling touring members and trying to recreate this. They play all their magic power and lay it on the line, fight the good fight. So all the early 80s hits, Triumph is rocking out at the US Festival. They actually got the founder to introduce them. Steve Wozniak, again, the Apple guy, the other guy, Steve Jobs, and the two Steve Wozniak, he was the big music fan behind this, and he actually got buddy with Triumph, and he came out and actually introduced them, to the stage. That was the only band he did that for.
I would like to see that. Is that on any videos that you've seen?
Him introducing them?
Yeah.
They have it on their DVD.
Oh, that's
Triumph actually, a couple of bands released their recordings from this. Triumph released a DVD and live album. Either it's its own album or it's on like the re-release of maybe Never Surrender. I think it's its own album. And then Judas Priest released the US Festival recordings. Again, I don't remember. It could be on a deluxe edition of Scream of Vengeance. I don't think it's its own album. But I mean, everyone's set is all over YouTube now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying watching this again. I haven't seen this in so long. So I kind of, if I'm just, drifting away, it's because I'm not paying attention watching these videos.
We have to remember we're on a podcast episode right now. Now they're hosing down the field.
Of course.
The fire hoses, these outdoor festivals, they get a fire hose and just spray it over the crowd. And I mentioned earlier that I was at the 1988 Monsters of Rock at Giant Stadium, and I got hit right in the face with a pretty powerful fire hose. I was probably like 50 feet away, but I turned directly into it. And because I'm a little taller than everyone else around me, I guess, I just got hit right in the face. And it was right, the bands that day were Kingdom Come, Metallica was second, and it was right after Metallica. And I got my soaking wet. And I actually got security to let me go out to our car to change my clothes. And I thought I might not get back in, but I missed Dawkins' almost entire set because I was outside changing out of my wet clothes into, I don't know why, it was 90 degrees. I would have dried myself probably in the sun, but.
I have kind of a hose story. We've mentioned it before. There was a venue here called Sundance, and I saw Anthrax there. And this was like at their height of their popularity. I don't know how or why they got booked there, but it was overcrowded is an understatement. It was definitely illegally crowded. So many people standing on tables. It was so hot that the bartenders were hosing everyone down with the seltzer fountains and stuff. It was
gross.
I think I left in the middle of the set because I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I mean, what times can I get sprayed with dirty bar water and / seltzer?
Yeah. So that's my story. So
and that's why, the story that I have and the story that Craig has, that's why we're so impressed with this crowd. Like, just as impressed with the bands, I'm impressed with the crowd. Like, this is dedication. These people wear a badge of heavy metal honor that you and I do not, that they were able. Like, if you were at the US Festival, it's an automatic stamp of approval.
They made it through this crucible of metal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
they were forged.
I mean, if a stranger walked into my backyard when we were hanging out with 12 of our friends at, a whiskey metal hang, and we said, "Who are you? What are you doing in my backyard?" And the guy just said, "I was at the US Festival." We'd say, "Sit down. We must ask you questions."
It's like they're the special forces of metal.
They are the special forces.
They made it through Hell Week.
Yes. And they would be very knowledgeable about the guitar playing of Rudolf Schenker and Matthias Jabs, because the next band was the Scorpions.
And we're watching them right now, and Matthias definitely loved stripes.
I like how the striped spandex armbands match these black and yellow striped pants and the black and yellow striped bandana that he's wearing.
And stripes on his guitar.
Yes.
Very fashion conscious.
Yeah. So this is the Scorpions. They're second from the top of the bill. They are playing their last U.S. show of the Blackout Tour. They kind of just added some shows just so this wouldn't be their only show. Scorpions, I think, did a smart thing. They booked like 7 shows in the Midwest leading to California, so that they would have 6 sort of shows of practice before the US Festival. I mentioned earlier the Quiet Riot actually opened for those shows. They did some festivals in Europe after this, but for pretty much this is the end of the Blackout Tour. And they're a high energy band. I've seen them a couple of times. They never reached Iron Maiden, Van Halen, Rush, Dio level for me, but
I love the Blackout album.
Yeah.
And the artwork, again, album covers, the guy with the forks in his eyes. I mean, who could forget that?
Who could forget that? And look, the crowd's totally into them. They're playing now. The sun has gone down. It's dark. They're playing all their No One Like You hits and doing, they had that song, The Zoo.
I never knew about The Zoo until I saw this video.
Yeah, they're playing that now, it looks like, and it's actually a song that they wrote after going to New York City for the first time and seeing Times Square and thinking it was like a zoo.
And also, if you forget the drummer's name, it's written on the kick drums,
which is very, very egotistical. Herman Rarebell. Like, I could see if you were, like a Neil Peart. Like, Neil Peart didn't even do that on his drum set. Like Herman Rarebell. I guess he's trying to get some promo for himself. He ended up not in the Scorpions. He didn't make it out of the '80s with the Scorpions, and he's not with them today.
Some sponsorship with a drumstick company or something.
Yeah, maybe. But that's Klaus Meine, the singer.
Another heavy voice.
And if you didn't know it, you knew it by my mocking accent that they are a German band. And they have a lot of albums at this point. I don't remember what Blackout was, but they have they have a history going back to like 72. They had different members like Rudolf Schenker's brother, Michael Schenker. They had a great guitar player named Uli John Roth. But this is their most famous lineup as far as success in America is concerned.
That's what I think of.
They had the albums, was it Love Drive, Animal Magnetism, Blackout. Next album is going to be Love at First Sting. The bass player is playing looks like a Carvin Destroyer bass.
It may have been. That was a big name back then.
Yeah, it looks like it has that kind of coloring to it.
And yeah, again, Klaus, what a voice.
What a voice. So the Scorpions, good, high energy. They form a pyramid at the end where they all like stand. 3 of them stand and the other 2 stand on the other guy's legs, and they build like a human pyramid at the end. Some of their stage antics, choreography is a little cringe. But
yeah, they like to rock
the songs
back and forth together.
Blackout, Dynamite, obviously the hits like No One Like You, are reasons people love the Scorpions. And
just think, right now, no one knows about Rock You Like a Hurricane. It didn't exist.
Didn't exist, but this is how I know it's the Zoo, because right now they're showing guitarist Matthias Jabs play, what's that thing called? The Tube Screamer Talk Box?
I forget what it's called.
Talk Box, I think. The wow thing he uses in the Zoo.
Like the Bon Jovi song. Wow.
Actually, you wonder if that's where Bon Jovi got this from, because Bon Jovi did open for the Scorpions back in the day.
And he's banging on the cowbell. Look at Matthias go.
Yeah, this is definitely
Klaus.
Even with the sound off, I know this is the Zoo. But let's move on to the mighty headliners, the mighty VH. So we talked about this on a previous episode because we talked about Van Halen's Diver Down tour, but now it's completely dark. The crowd has not left. Why would they leave? Because day 2 heavy metal headliner Van Halen takes the stage.
Amazing. The funny thing about this show is that technically it shouldn't have been good. Dave Lee Roth was wasted. He was slurring, forgetting lyrics, making weird conversations, and everyone's like, oh no. But that is what made this performance so great, because that fit in with the brand of this band. I mean, they were known as like a party rock band and just fun, and it made it great, because David Lee Roth is a great showman, and you give him a little bit of liquor and he's very likable and just fun. I don't know. That's all I could say. They're just a really, really fun band.
Yeah, and he was a little bit too drunk. He usually was responsible enough not to get too wasted before the show, but as the story goes, not this show. This show, he was pretty out of it. This is the one-off show that we talked about an episode or 2 ago, where they were offered a lot of money after coming back from a South American tour. And depending on where you read, the amount differs, but they had a top earner clause in their contract where they had to make the most money of any band on all 4 days.
What I read about that was they were going to be paid $1 million. But then they found out David Bowie was also being paid $1 million, and that the clause that Rob was talking about came into play, and they said, wait a minute, we have to be the top bill.
Right.
So Wozniak ended up throwing another $500,000 in. So now Van Halen got $1.5 million for this gig. Not bad.
And I've read 3 different versions. I've read that version back when we were younger. There was like David Bowie got $1 million, so they got $1.1 million. And then the Noel Monk book says that they got 1.5. Bowie may have gotten the same, and then Wozniak called them and gave them an extra $50,000. So I don't know if the story got mixed up that it was $1 million, $1.5 million, or if it's $1 million, 5.5, whatever the case may be.
At that point, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They were the highest earners, and they flexed their muscle to get the most money. And they also did a thing where no band was allowed to sell shirts all 3 days. You only could sell shirts on the day of your appearance. But Van Halen actually had in their contract that they could sell merchandise all 3 days of the first 3 days, and he said it paid off.
Was this at the point where they were making their own merch? I read that in the book too.
Yes, they were making their own, but they made a lot of money. They made like $1 million a year just on merch alone. And they were very, like in the book, he talks about early Van Halen tours where they hired people specifically to go out into the parking lot and beat up bootleggers. So this is now, I guess, technically, even though it's a one-off show, it's technically the last show that we could call the Diver Down tour. The next time you're going to see Van Halen is going to be the Jump video on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1983. So kind of a end of an era of early Van Halen, maybe.
And this is the pretty much almost the epitome of what you would call classic Van Halen. I would say it would be more on those videos you see of Unchained with the wall of amps and the gong on fire. But this, I mean, look at Dave. He's all like totally glittery and zebra stripes. Eddie's got his red and white overalls and red and white guitar. I mean, it was just, this is Van Halen. And
I'm sorry, David Lee Roth shows that hooded sweatshirt with, is that elephants on there? And there's a bad edit. They just showed him wearing a different outfit in one of the edits.
And one of them I saw, he's wearing like this big long coat. It's like really glittery.
This is a funny exercise to watch something with the sound off like we are right now at the US Festival, because you could see Alex Van Halen doing cymbal grabs just like dish, 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 dish. And I knew from that it was running with the devil.
It has to be.
And now Dave's doing his, look at all the people here tonight. They just showed the crowd, which is moving back and forth in waves from there being so many people there. And yeah, they go through all the hits.
That's another quote too. I know we always used it. Look at all the people here tonight.
Yeah, look at all the people here tonight.
Look at all the people here tonight.
And now they're going into Pretty Woman. And again, this is a shortened version of their set that was just shown on cable. Definitely moving around a lot. Love those speakers that they used as the backdrops for Fair Warning and Diver Down tours. Just everything about this is just holy grail.
It's just classic.
Yeah. So it's again, like we said earlier, I'm finding myself stopping talking because I'm just looking at Eddie running full speed across the stage.
Eddie's playing and Dave is next to him with his arm around him while singing. I mean, how iconic is that?
If they only could have stayed that happy forever.
All good things come to an end.
Like this episode, for example. Mm-hmm. We're not going to end our podcast episode this way, but Van Halen ends this show and the whole heavy metal day at the US Festival by singing the a cappella Happy Trails that appeared on Diver Down. They all come up to the front of the stage and all four of them, even Alex Van Halen, sing Happy Trails. And it sounds like it should be just a positive, heartfelt moment. But I can't help but notice that the singer of this band has no back on his pants. His pants, there seems to be no material.
It takes away from the wholesomeness.
I thought chaps was supposed to be worn over jeans, like in old Western movies.
It's a little difficult to watch him from behind doing those pelvic thrusts and stuff.
Like right now, look at that. At least he thought to put a string of leather material where the sun don't shine, at least, so we don't get a full...
Maybe he had gas and he just needed access.
It's not a full moon over Glen Helen Park in San Bernardino, California, but it's pretty close.
Oh, he's got fringes hanging off of those pants.
Yeah, we love the band and we love the guy.
We're only laughing, but we love it.
We're laughing because we know it might be ridiculous. But if I was there, just like that person, I would have my fist in the air.
He's got that red and white Frankenstein Strat. Oh, man, I love it.
Do yourself a favor. When this podcast is over, go on YouTube, search for either Van Halen, US Festival, or US Festival 1983, Heavy Metal Day. And if anything, even though Dave's a little drunk and a little sloppy, they got bigger here, and people could not wait for what Van Halen did next. And the next was the 1984 album. So
that was
upward and onward from here.
And that was a huge album. I can't wait to get to that one. And so, so that's going to about do it for this week.
And check out our Instagram at the 80s Metal Hang. Check out Spotify at the 80s Metal Hang. 80S Metal Hang. You can even email us, the 80s Metal Hang at gmail.com. And Craig and I are going to go work on our a cappella version of Happy Trails. And we'll see you next week.
Next time.